All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Chiefs, Niners, the Super Bowl is Sunday. Of course, after everyone watches Caitlin Clark play Nebraska on Sunday afternoon. And I dance around the awkwardness of announcing that she's the record holder for most points of all time. But that is not the topic. Right now, it is the Super Bowl with McKenzie Nelson of KSHB in Kansas City, who is live in Vegas. McKenzie, hello. How are you?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here. It is crazy here in Las Vegas. I have to tell you that. It is just insane.
Okay, so that's going to be the first. That was like the first thing. By the way, first, though, we apologize for taking you away from the Usher press conference, which I've been told is happening right now.
It is happening now. That shows you just how much I wanted to be on the show today. I said no to Usher and yes to you.
So I contend, as a person who's experienced Vegas a few times, that 7 days in Vegas is far too long. So you're on day like 4 or 5 right now, depending on when you got down there. How are we feeling? How are things looking right now? What's the energy like?
Right. I feel like when you go to Las Vegas, you should only stay maximum of like 4 days. And I
Correct.
got here on Tuesday. So I'm on, the front half of this trip, but I will be here until Monday, obviously after the game. And it is going to be a very long trip. I mean, you just have to do it in doses, right? You have to make sure that like you're taking time to chill, but there really is no downtime here. I mean, there is so much going on, so many different stories. And the Chiefs, of course, talked at 8:00 this morning, 35 minutes away from the Strip. So that's been fun having to commute over there.
Jeez.
But, there's just so much going on. And so you really got to like pace yourself, right? I mean, as you would do if you were going to Vegas for fun, you just have to pace yourself.
No doubt. It can be very difficult. So we're glad you're still on the front end and you're going to have to save some stamina for the backside. So just outside of like the spectacle of it all, I mean, the conversation going into this week has and through the week has been just about the idea of having the Super Bowl in Vegas, like functionally getting away from all of the whatever that goes around it. Like, how has the week gone in terms of how a Super Bowl can and should work?
I was at the Super Bowl in Miami, so Super Bowl 54, and everything there was so spread out. I mean, you had to have a car to get to everything you needed to be at. But here, everything is like all in one area except the team hotels. Those are about 35, 40 minutes away. So everything you need to do is all in one spot, like all along the Strip, which means that many fans are there, that many, media members. So it is just like chaos once you're on the Strip. But I will say things are going very smoothly. It's very cool. Like, what a city to host the Super Bowl. I mean, especially when you talk like sports betting and just all this stuff like this. Las Vegas couldn't be a better place to host this Super Bowl. And it's amazing. Allegiant Stadium is amazing. Just everything so far this week has been phenomenal. I have nothing but good things to say about Las Vegas. I would definitely suggest they host another one.
Yeah, it's amazing. This was a good test run, and if it's gone off well, I mean, it's going to come back probably in the not so distant future. Let's transition over to football, McKenzie. The conventional wisdom, I think, or at least this, I guess I don't want to project this on anybody else, but my thought is, all right, the 49ers are really good. This is a great matchup. Ultimately, the Chiefs have the trump card in Patrick Mahomes. That feels like it's sort of the vibe of the week so far. Not everybody is going to pick the Chiefs, but I guess based off of that sort of idea, what is the sort of approach to this game from how you feel like it's going to go?
First of all, it's so crazy because covering the Chiefs for the last, 6 years, the Chiefs have been the team that everybody loves, and they were cheering for them, and they were rooting for them to win. And then now it's like everybody hates them. They don't want to see them win. They want to see, them come back down from the top. They cheered them on their way to the top. Now they're like, okay, you've been at the top too long. We want to see you lose. And so that's been really weird. And especially, with the 49ers being favored to win the Super Bowl, that's been weird. All season long, it feels like the Chiefs have been kind of an underdog, especially as we got into the playoffs, just because of, some of the adversity they faced this season. The offense wasn't high flying like it's been in the past. So they've just been dealing with a lot all season long. But, here we are. And the fact that they're underdogs going into the Super Bowl, I talked with, some of the defensive players earlier this morning, and they were like, no, that just motivates us, as if they need any more to motivate them for the Super Bowl. It's like that little thing there, being the underdogs. They want to prove to everybody that they belong. And it's just been kind of like this checklist all throughout the playoffs. Like, it was, okay, Patrick Mahomes has never had to play a road playoff game. Well, check that off the list, and he did it. And then everybody said, oh, they're never going to go into Baltimore and beat, the NFL MVP nominee and Lamar Jackson. It's like, well, they did that too. And then here we are being the underdogs once again. I just think it's very interesting. I think you can never bet against Patrick Mahomes. I've been saying that all season long. Like, you can't bet against him. And so I think it's interesting that everybody is picking the 49ers to win, because I feel very confident that the Chiefs are going to be able to get it done.
They have really, I mean, you hit the key point in sort of the big part of the week here. Like, they've really embraced the villain thing. They've talked about it openly.
Yeah.
And they've embraced kind of everything that's sort of come their way on their rise to this, quote unquote dynasty. I feel like all that is connected back to Andy Reid and sort of how he allows his guys sort of the freedom and the personalities and all of this could have eased, if they lose in the playoffs, we're talking about 7 other things with them and distractions and whatnot.
Right.
And they've been able to still win despite all of what potentially could have gone wrong. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Right. And I think you're hitting it right on the head. Like, Andy Reid, he is the guy that sets the tone for this team. And then when you have, guys like Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes that really just bring like the energy and that leadership to this team, I think that's why they've been able to get through this, is because Andy Reid is the same. I mean, he was even asked today, like, what has changed in his coaching style, things like that, since being in Super Bowl 54. And he was like, nothing. It's kind of, that same type of mentality that he's always had. And then when you have so many, good guys on this Chiefs team that can be great leaders, that's how you get through all this. And you don't let kind of that outside noise get to you. And I think that's why, like, they're not letting it get to them, but they're using some of the things that, they hear people say things. They're using that as motivation for each game, which I just think is great. I think they've handled everything really well. And then, you add the Taylor Swift, all that stuff. Like, it has just been a lot circulating this team this season. I think they've done a really great job at handling it and staying focused on, the goal at hand. And I can't say enough about how they've kind of navigated the chaos this season.
Well, totally. It totally could have gone off the rails. Like, there's people, it's not just about the outside stuff. It wasn't going well from a football perspective in the middle there too. And so
they were struggling.
They had to figure out who they were kind of going to be. And they've changed their identity a little bit from the football perspective this year too. Like, as you go away from, all right, here's what people are talking about with us, and here's the narrative, and then into football, it's been equally impressive in that regard.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about the middle of the season. I mean, we just had so many questions about the Chiefs offense, and it was like, okay, what is up with the drops? What are the struggles in the red zone? Why can they not score? Like, what is the problem? And then it seemed with like each game after that Christmas game at home against the Raiders that they lost to, that really was like, I don't know, the turning point for them. I think they started to figure it out, and they started to utilize who they should be. It was at first, we're going to go to all these different receivers that we have on the team, and we're just going to like spread the ball around. Well, they needed to focus in on, guys like Isaiah Pacheco. You got to run the ball. And then Rashee Rice really stepping up. He's been a tremendous rookie for this team this season. He's not even playing like a rookie, which is great. But I think it took them a minute to kind of figure out who were going to be the guys that would step up in those roles. And it just took a lot longer than, fans and everybody else would have wanted. But they struggled through it. And then now I think they've found the way they can rotate these guys in. And it's worked well for them here on the back half of the season.
Yeah, they've had this, and there's a little bit of, I wonder if they would admit this, or if you've heard anybody talk about this from the team. Like, there is a little bit of, yeah, we're going to be in the regular season. We're going to be okay. We have Patrick Mahomes. We're trying to work through some things. We're trying to figure it out. Just wait until we get to the playoffs and we'll have it all put together. That's obviously come forth with Kelce in the playoffs. Like, I guess, I wonder if you've heard anybody sort of verbalize that over the last couple weeks here.
It's definitely been talked about, amongst, I would say, kind of the media and us in Kansas City. It's been talked about a lot, is like, okay, they're using the regular season to work through the kinks, and then when they're supposed to turn it on and they're supposed to make sure that they aren't making these mistakes, the drops, the red zone struggles, stuff like that, it's like, okay, well, now we're getting to the point of the season where we actually have to score, we have to win these games. And so it's funny, we've talked about it at the beginning of the season, where it was like, okay, it seems like they're just kind of walking through this part of the season, and then they'll really turn it on and figure things out when it matters. But then, when we got to Christmas and we lost to the Raiders, it was like, oh my God, maybe they're not going to figure it out. Like maybe this season they just can't get it done. They can't figure it out. They don't have a number one wide receiver, but it was definitely something that was discussed for sure.
Do you have a score prediction before we let you go?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chiefs 34, I think Niners 24.
Okay. All right. Well, it'll be fun either way. We wish you good luck. First of all, thanks for doing this. Second of all, survive. Please survive Vegas the next couple days. It's going to be a long wait until Sunday night.
It is. I'm looking forward to Sunday. I can't wait. I'm very, very excited for this one. As I said, I think the Chiefs are going to get it done, and I'm so happy to have had the chance to talk to you guys about it.
Thanks, McKenzie. Talk to you later.
Of course. Thanks so much.
That's McKenzie Nelson of KSHB in Kansas City.
Mixing a water.
Too long. It's not even that you're drinking the whole time. It's the walking. It's obviously the gambling. For now, I'm projecting a bit myself. Like it's the walking, it's the gambling, and then you throw the drinking, on top of that. But they're moving. They have all these different things and all these different locations. That was cool to hear, because we wondered about, like, it's a small town, and it's a really, really concentrated area in which they're hosting all of these events, including the game itself. It's in extremely close proximity to where the media hotel is, to where all the events are. I mean, it's basically on this south side of the Las Vegas Strip. If you've ever been in the area, it's all right there. And except for the team's hotels and practices and stuff like that. So I was curious to see just how that would go in terms of the sheer amount of people. Sounds like it's a lot to handle, but doable overall. It sounded like and we'll ask our guest tomorrow too for the 49ers side, like maybe, the idea is, hey, this is kind of better than some of the other cities, obviously because of like the party, big game atmosphere that you get when you go to Vegas, but also, I mean, that proximity, that's why everybody loves Indianapolis for all the Big Ten stuff, Josh, because it's all right there.
Right there.
Everybody always talks about that. It's all right there. It's all right there. I could walk to St. Elmo's. I could from my hotel. I go back to the state. I get that cocktail sauce. Right. I go to the bar, whatever it is. It's all right there. And then you throw like the Vegas scene on top of that. It kind of does sound like the perfect place to do it. I mean, we maybe should have seen that coming a mile away.
Somebody's going to do something stupid Friday or Saturday night.
That is always the curiosity. That is what we're kind of waiting for.
Once these parties get into full gear, these corporate, corporate parties.
If you're there, if you're going, you're there by the end of the day today.
Yeah,
you're there. So,
are you getting after it?
Maybe tonight's when you run into a little bit of that heat
at Las Vegas locally.
Yeah, keep track of what's going on that account. It's gonna have some stuff, that's for sure. Poll question up at Happer Show: who'd you rather talk to, Connor Happer or Usher? I will try to not sway your votes.
Okay,
but we know one person who just chose me.